Mr. Hoffman.
Thank you, Chairman Gorbach. This is an ordinance we do every year. It is to satisfy Ohio Revised Code 5705.03 that tells us that we have to pass a resolution to accept and certify or accept the amounts that go over a 10 mil limit. And in our charter, we do have an 11 mil tax rate on property. And so this is that ordinance.
Okay, it refers to Exhibit A on line 27. Was that sent? Is that any more information that's in the body of this resolution?
I did not see that. I don't believe so. I don't believe we have an Exhibit A for this one. So we'll have to make that change.
Okay, and I apologize. I actually just noticed it just now. Okay, so there would be no Exhibit A. The box of information in section 2 is all that this is referring to.
That's correct, yes.
Okay. So let's amend this temporary resolution A61 line 27. We'll just put a period after certification and strike the remaining words. Does that work?
That works for me, yes.
Excuse me, I would perhaps delete attached here too as Exhibit A and leave in its certification are hereby accepted.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. You want to leave, and this is Janet speaking, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. What can you repeat what you'd like to have done?
Thinking that section 1 should read the amounts and rates of taxation as determined by the Budget Commission and its certification are hereby accepted.
Oh, okay, very good. Yes. Okay, so I didn't hear you correctly. So we'll remove the line, we'll remove the words attached here to as Exhibit A and leave are hereby accepted. Very good. That's more accurate. Are there any other comments just with respect to making the wording change from anybody? No. Okay. Are there any questions from the Finance Committee or comments with respect to the resolution in any regard from Council? What about the remaining members on the in the meeting tonight? Are there any comments with regards to A61? Okay. May I have a motion to approve temporary resolution A61 for a vote next week? I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm getting echo or just not hearing somebody. Did I get a motion in a second?
Yeah, so moved, Tim.
Okay.
Second.
All right, thank you. We have a motion and a second to vote on temporary resolution A61 for a vote next week. I move for its adoption. All in favor? We had a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Temporary ordinance A62 presented by the administration upon recommendation by the Park and Recreation Board. An ordinance authorizing the Parks and Recreation Board to enter into a contract or contracts without competitive bidding with J&J Amusements, Inc. for new pitching machines for Downview Sports Center and declaring an emergency. And I see Ms. Klein is on the call this evening. Sarah, would you like to talk about this?
Sure, thank you. The pitching machines are all pretty much original equipment to Downview. So sometime between 1992 and 1995, they were all installed. We're at the point where when there are repairs, we're taking, or the company is taking parts from old machines to try and plug in. It's just time. So we're going to replace all 8 machines at once so that we have a brand new slate. And I think it'll make for a much better experience at Downview.
How many machines is that?
We have 8.
I'm amazed that those are there. So they're 25 to 28 years old?
They are. They sure are.
Yeah. I'm sure they are scrounging for parts from other machines. And this was budgeted, as we can see on the budget sheet. When do you hope to have them and be able to, will you install them now, or would you wait till spring?
So it depends on when they come in. We're gonna get them ordered pending council approval and board of control approval. After that, we'll get them
Okay.
ordered as soon as we can. If they come in and the weather is still decent, we'll install them after leaf season.
Okay.
If winter weather arrives too quickly, which none of us hope it does, we'll wait till the spring.
Okay, great. Questions for Ms. Klein or any other member of the administration from the Finance Committee?
Just kudos for making them last that long.
Yeah, really.
It's very, very good to make it that long. How much do we make on those machines during the year? You have any idea?
You know, I don't
There.
have the exact number in front of me. Perhaps Mr. Hoffman does, but they're actually very popular. And this year they've seen more use than other years just because it's something that people have been able to do. So several $1,000s a year, but I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but I could get that to you, Mr. Ayula.
Great, thanks.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for the Finance Committee? How about from council? Any questions or comments? Mr. James?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick question to Ms. Klein. Over these decades of these pitching machines, was there any talk of any of them having Tommy John surgery?
No.
That's all I needed to know. Thank you.
I'm off my game tonight because that actually took me a second to figure out where you were going, Jerry, but that was good.
Brian.
I did
Mr.
think of,
Garbach, if
I'm sorry, I did think of another question. I realize we're talking about the age of the machines, but they still work to some regard. Has there been any thought of repurposing? I mean, with the schools or any park leagues? Or maybe they're commercial and not able to be used in that type of setting. I don't know.
That's correct. And we don't have any other place within the city that we have this kind of equipment to repurpose. We
Yeah.
always talk to companies to see if they'll take something as a trade-in to offset any costs. So we'll certainly be talking with this company about if there's any value to them as a trade-in, because
Right.
there's probably other cities that have older machines like we have all these years that they might be able to use as some replacement parts. So we'll be talking with them about that.
Okay. Yeah. And I guess, again, I don't know if the schools have the facilities or could make something like that work. Maybe they have what they need, but I guess it's worth a phone call.
And lots of times they come to Downview. So
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions regarding this legislation? I'm going to circle back to you in a minute, Sarah. So is there a
Sure.
is there a motion to,
Looks like you say something, Tim.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Nichols wanted to say something. I
Oh,
believe.
yeah, I'm sorry. Dr. Nichols, go ahead.
Hey, Tim. I would ask you to call KJ. I mean, we have a couple of batting cages and we don't have like pitching machines. We don't have anything like that. And
Okay.
so, I mean, I don't know if we can use them or not, but if we had the opportunity to use them for softball or baseball, I mean, call KJ.
Yeah.
we actually have a meeting on Wednesday about another matter. So I'll bring it up.
Thank you,
Very good.
Sarah.
Great. Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from anyone else on the call tonight? Okay. Is there a motion to bring out temporary ordinance A62 for a vote next week?
Moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We'll vote on temporary ordinance A62. The final one for the Finance Committee tonight is temporary ordinance A63 presented by the administration. Oh, before that, I'm sorry, Sarah, I told you I'd circle back to you. Did you want to talk about something regarding Park and Rec, something coming up?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Garbach. Thanks
Sure.
for giving me permission. I just wanted to use this opportunity to plug the one event, that Park and Rec big community event that we're going to be able to do this year because of COVID-19. And you all will be getting an email, all the council members, but I will let you know that on October 24th, which is a Saturday, from 1 to 4, The Park and Rec Department and Mayor Walters are hosting a 10 location drive-through treasure hunt, which is basically a drive-through trick or treat. We're asking people stay in their cars, but we will be at 10 locations throughout the city, all parks or city facilities. We're hoping some of you might want to put on a costume and come volunteer and help us. But each location, we're going to have candy to hand out, characters dressed up like princesses and superheroes. And then in a really great twist, other city departments have joined forces with us. And so each location is going to feature some special appearances by other city departments and their equipment. So you might see the police, the fire department, the sanitation department, the snow plows from the street department. So we're going to be at Downview, Waterworks, City Hall, the Natatorium, Bab Run, Oak Park, Lions Park, Kaiser Park, Quirk, and Ross Park on October 24th from 1 to 4. So look on the Facebook page and city social media for more information, but we hope families will have a safe, socially distanced Halloween event with us on October 24th.
Very exciting, great news. Anybody from council have any questions or comments while Sarah's here to talk about this? No, okay. All right, Sarah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Temporary ordinance A63 presented by the administration. An ordinance authorizing the Director of Finance to enter into a contract or contracts without competitive bidding with Wickard Insurance Services, Inc. for the professional services necessary to manage the city's risk management and insurance program and for the purchase of public entity insurance coverages and declaring an emergency. Mr. Hoffman, I'm assuming this is you?
Yes, thank you, Chairman Gorbach. This is the ordinance that would authorize us to purchase our insurance for 10/1, I think it's 10/1 through the end of this year through 2021 for 1 year. The insurance that we are purchasing is no different than we have in the past. That hasn't changed. We are using Wickard Insurance again. We have used Wickard for well over 30 years in the city. They are located in the city. I know it comes up most years regarding the competitive bidding clause in the ordinance. Wickard does competitively bid our insurance through their processes. They have a pretty good handle on the marketplace. They do represent most cities in our region. And I think they understand public entities and municipalities in general on their insurance needs and what the carrier is offering. With that, we do get services as well from Wickard. They do help us manage our lawsuits. I know the law department does an excellent job. Janet and her team do an excellent job to help manage those. Wickard does follow those closely with us. They do understand that area of law to some degree and follow that closely. So when there's someone who may sue the city and the law department tries to handle it, we do consult with Wickard most times. So we are asking again to enter into the contract with Wickard Insurance.
Thank you, Brian. I'm glad you brought that up about the legal for the couple new council members we have tonight. This is the first time that this ordinance has come before them. And we do have a synergistic relationship with Wickard and our law department. You touched on it a little bit, but I think we gleaned some savings with respect to our law department working with Wickard. And I didn't talk to you before the meeting, Janet, but I don't know if you wanted to just say a few words about how that relationship works and is a potential money saver for the city.
Yes, thank you, Councilman Gorbach. We do consult with Wickard when we get claims for like pre-litigation claims, or even when a claim or a lawsuit's filed, I consult with them about if their thoughts on potential liability. They give me very good advice. Sometimes legal issues will arise, and because of their wealth of knowledge and being in the business for so many years, they always put me in the right direction, get me the information I need. I think they do a fabulous job. If I have provisions regarding insurance and contracts that I need to maybe don't quite understand, I consult with them and they walk me through it. I think they do an exceptional job. and their customer service is top-notch.
Great. Thank you for that explanation. Are there any questions from the Finance Committee regarding the Wickard insurance policy?
No.
From the remaining council members, any questions or comments? From the public, anyone else in the meeting tonight? Okay, may I have a motion to bring out temporary ordinance A63?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We'll vote on temporary ordinance A63. We have minutes, and I'm gonna, from September 21st. Those are the most recently approved? Are there any corrections or changes to the minutes of the meeting from September 21st? Hearing none, we'll leave those as written, and that concludes the Finance Committee. Thank you.
Okay, it is 6:47, and I'd like to call to order the Public and Industrial Improvements Committee. Ms. Capriolo, I'm sorry, I know I do have minutes to approve. Could you tell me what the dates are? I think there were two.
Yes, July 6, 2020 and September 21, 2020.
Thank you very much. Okay, so tonight we have two ordinances to discuss in committee, but first I will ask if there are any additions, deletions, or alterations to the minutes from July 6, 2020 or September 21st, 2020. All right, hearing none, they will stand as written. And we'll start with temporary ordinance A70. Here we go. Presented by the administration, A70. An ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service to enter into a contract or contracts with the Carvo Companies, Inc., without competitive bidding for emergency roadway repairs at 3345 State Road and declaring an emergency. Tony, now I have to look for you on the screen, but Tony, would you like to give comments about this?
Thank you, Madam Chair. On July 23rd of this year, the 16-inch water line on the east side of State Road in front of 3345 State Road broke. 3345 State Road, for reference, is the U.S. Post Office. The 16-inch water main was constructed in 1958, puts it at 62 years old. We also have a water line on the west side of the road, which is 1975. That's also a 16-inch, but it's ductile iron. This one that broke is cast iron, I believe. Because of the damage to the pavement, State Road was closed to traffic from Ascot Parkway to Cochran Road, actually from Bath Road to Cochran Road. The water department worked nonstop to make the water line repairs, and by the evening, the water line was back in service. However, the road remained closed due to the excessive damage to the pavement. While the water line was being repaired, we assessed the damage the main break did to the pavement, and Carvo Companies, who was already in town with our annual paving program, was directed to begin pavement repairs. Final pavement repairs were completed just a couple days later on July 25th, and the road was opened at 6 a.m. on the 25th. The cost of these repairs came in at $73,280.54.
Thank you, Mr. Demasi. So basically it was an emergency, and that's why it didn't go out to bid, and the invoice is $73,000. So it's coming now to council for us to approve that payment, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Are there any questions of the other members of this committee? Anyone else from council? And Mr. Brillhart.
If I could just say something, just a general comment, Madam Chairman. I was there when that water line, while they were doing the repair, and it's amazing how hard our workers work on these things, the dedication. Anthony was there, the mayor was there. It's just, it's always refreshing to see how hard everybody works to make this. This was a very serious situation, and it was just immediately put under control, and everybody just did a wonderful job. And like it was said, they worked during the night, and it turned out beautiful. And just much appreciation to everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Brahart. Anyone else? I'd like to piggyback on that too. Yeah, the people who work for our city, who work for all of us, are really amazing people, and we're really lucky, fortunate. Okay, so anyone from the public have any comments? Okay, if not, then I'll entertain a motion to bring temporary ordinance A70 out of committee next week for a vote.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the committee. All those in favor, please say yes.
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 Motion passes 3-0. We'll bring this out next week for a vote. And then we have a second piece of legislation to discuss in committee, A71, presented by the administration. An ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service to enter into a contract or contracts without competitive bidding with Traftech Incorporated to repair epoxy pavement markings at various locations in the city and declaring an emergency. And again, Mr. Demasi, if you wouldn't mind speaking.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, in 2015, we began specifying the use of epoxy paint for our traffic pavement markings as part of our annual road resurfacing projects. Prior to that, we were using acrylic paint. Epoxy paint costs twice as much as acrylic, but it can last up to 5 times as long as acrylic. So while we need to refresh our acrylic paint every year, and we do that, the epoxy paints look good even after 4 or 5 years in service. So this year we wanted to refresh some of that epoxy paint that's been down for 5 years or so. Traftech is a company that's been working in our city for quite some time and is familiar with our roadway system. And this year we refreshed the paint on State Road from essentially Valley to Steele's Corners, a distance of 2.5 miles. And that's all section of road that has been paved over the last 5 years, and with epoxy paint that's, again, 4, 5, 6 years, in one case, 6 years old. So we definitely got our useful life out of that. And again, we're here at council because the cost of this work is over $50,000. It's $60,377.90.
Thank you, Mr. Demasi. And they had the lowest bid, correct?
Yeah, we did competitively bid it, even though it says without competitive bidding. That's because we started out with a small PO, but then we went to, it extended larger than the 50,000. So that's why we came here.
Thank you, Mr. Demasi. Do any of the council members on the committee have any questions or comments? Anyone any other members of council? Any members of the public? All right, hearing none, I will entertain a motion to bring A71, temporary ordinance A71 out of committee next week for a vote of full council.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say yes. Yes.
Yes.
Motion passes 3-0. That will come out for a vote next week. And that concludes the Public and Industrial Improvements Committee for this evening.
Good evening. It is 6:55 and I will call the Public Affairs Committee to order. First, I would like to approve the minutes from July 6, 2020. So are there any comments or additions to the minutes? Hearing none, those will stand approved as written. We have 6 pieces of legislation to discuss this evening. First is temporary ordinance A64, presented by the administration. An ordinance to approve current replacement pages to the Cuyahoga Falls codified ordinances and declaring an emergency. So I believe, Janet, you're prepared to discuss this evening.
Thank you, Councilman Baltus. Temporary ordinance A64 would approve the annual updates and make the required changes to the city's codified ordinances. The updates come from 2 primary sources. First, there are new laws that council passes throughout the years. Well, they usually take effect after they're signed by the mayor. They need to be physically added to our codified ordinances. which we publish and put online. An example of that would be the extensive right-of-way ordinance that we passed past year. Second, the Ohio Constitution requires that misdemeanor offenses in the city's code have to be identical to the Ohio Revised Code. So any changes in Ohio's traffic laws, for example, have to be made part of our codified ordinances as well. We contract with the Walter Drain Company from Cleveland to track and monitor these laws, and they propose these changes to our codified ordinances. This year's proposals have been checked by the law department, and the ordinance would make them, this ordinance makes them official.
Very good. Thank you. And again, this is a piece that we look at every year, so thank you for the very thorough explanation, Janet. Are there any other questions from the committee? Any questions from council? Are there any questions from the public, or have we received any comments from the public?
Nothing.
Thank you. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to bring out temporary ordinance A64 for a vote next week.
So moved.
I think Councilman Miller may be muted.
Oh, okay. I couldn't hear.
Would we be able to unmute Adam?
Sorry, I had a barking dog. So moved.
Oh, no worries. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That motion is approved for a vote next week. Thank you. Next, we have temporary ordinance A65 presented by the administration. An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a license agreement with Front and Center Limited for the purpose of constructing and maintaining a deck on the rear of the Levinson's building, parcel number 02-13108, which is also partially located on City of Cuyahoga Falls parcel number 02-02861, and declaring an emergency. I believe, Fred, you're going to kick us off on this one, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Baltus. I'm going to share my screen here. I guess I'm disabled. I don't know. Is there any way John could? If not, I can do it without the show and tell. What's happening here is that on the back of the Levinson's building and the Kroger building, which is the Tommy Bruno building, there is a parcel, a fairly large parcel between those buildings and Riverfront Parkway. And
Fred, you should be good to go.
Okay, I guess I will share the screen then. Okay, thank you, John. Okay, let's go to that. Okay, here we go. This is the parcel we're talking about, the Levinson building. Let me move this in the center a little bit here. We can see a little bit better here. Is okay, here we go. So the Levinson building is 02-13108 parcel. The Kroger Tommy Bruno building is 02-01936. The city owns this parcel here, which was probably a remnant of a larger parcel that was broken off when Riverfront Parkway went in. And so it sits right up against these buildings, and it includes one of our substations. And over the years, the businesses have used this parcel. In fact, there is a deck already on the parcel, Cashmere Cricket. I'm not sure if they have a license agreement or not, but there is one there already. And so what Front and Center wants to do is they want to put a deck on the back of the Levinson building, and underneath the deck, they would have a loading platform for the farmer's rail. And then there also would be a set of steps that would be behind the other building, the Kroger building, the Tommy Bruno building. And so when we look at that, it's really just a diagonal deck. At the top of this here is where the Cashmere Cricket deck is. This extends. It then comes in behind the Tommy Bruno or the Levinson building, and then there are a set of steps. What that looks like is this. You can see that the deck already where Cashmere Cricket is, the new deck for the Levinson building, the loading area for the Cashmere Cricket, and then the steps behind the Tommy Bruno building. All these items would be in this area right here. So what the license agreement does, it allows them to put the deck up. The deck would be used in the loading for the farmer's rail, and then the steps would allow people to leave that deck behind the Kroger building. And so this agreement, it's similar to the one we've done a couple already downtown. In fact, we did one for front and center for the steps here that were already here, and they're making changes to those steps. Actually, the steps are right here. Those steps will be down further. And so we did that in 2018. At that time, we didn't know what was going in the Levinson's building. We know now. And then this allows them to now be able to use that parcel. So if you have any questions, I'll try to answer those questions for you. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe I saw Mr. Klebina is here, so I don't know if, John, if you have any comments or anything you'd like to say. If not, that's fine. And I cannot see everybody with the screen.
I can stop sharing. Stop sharing, sorry. Okay.
No worries, thank you. John, if you'd like to say something, feel free to wave your hand. If not, don't worry. I think you might be muted. Yeah, can we unmute John, please? Oh, there you go. I think you can hear, you should be able to speak now, John. We still can't hear you. Well, I guess while you keep trying, John, but we can't hear you yet. Well, I guess, no, sorry, John, we can't hear you, but keep trying. And if you come in, that'll be great. But if not, that's fine. I guess I'd just like to start by saying that anytime there's more development and excitement in our downtown, I think this is great. I'm particularly excited about the fact that, I mean, so many great things are happening on Front Street. It's nice to see additional things happening on the riverfront side of Front Street, towards the river. There's a lot of excitement in that area with the deck that's already there from the Cashmere Cricket. I think this is a great addition. I think it makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of excitement and energy growing on the Front Street side, and I think this is all very good. I also appreciate Law Director Ciatola taking some time. I spoke with her earlier today to understand some of the terms of the license agreement. And if I state any of this, Janet, feel free to interrupt, but I believe it's a 50-year term, though it's terminated by either party with 30 days notice. Not that I see any reason that any of us would want to terminate it, but if we did, we were able to do that. And also there are insurance requirements that protect the city against any potential liability, in addition to our qualified immunity, which I think is very good. So there's just, I think the agreement looks good. And I'm really excited about the development. And thank you, John. I know you can't speak tonight, but hopefully you can hear us. And I'd just like to say thank you for your investment and continued support of our downtown. And I'm very excited about the Farmers Rail. So with that, I will open it up to the committee if there's anyone from the committee who'd like to speak or have any questions. All right, council as a whole. Councilwoman Mary Nichols Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Two things. I have a comment and then a couple questions for Fred. So my comment too is to John Klebina. Thank you so much for investing downtown. And I think a lot of people are relieved the Tommy Bruno building will continue to stand because you bought it. And then my question, so the deck itself belongs to who, and who do the stairs belong to? And do the stairs lead anywhere besides the deck?
The deck belongs to Front and Center. We're giving them a license agreement to put it on our parcel, and the steps lead just down to our parcel. I mean, there's not a lot there, but it's a way to get off the to get down from the deck, I guess. Russ mentioned something interesting because in 2000 or 1999, we had that riverfront waterfront plan that was done. And one of the things they did call for were decks off of all the buildings that you can walk all the way in the back of the buildings. And this sort of does that. And Don Dietrich told me he was still upset he built the deck behind the Kashmir Cricket because no one else built the rest of the decks that were supposed to be built. And so now the second deck is finally getting built. But so there was a reason to make Riverfront Parkway more accessible to people. So,
Thank you, Fred. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from anyone on council? Mr. Borbach.
Thank you, Chairman Balthus. I just want to speak, make a comment strictly to the ordinance itself with regards to the deck planning. We're here to vote strictly on the license agreement. We're not here to discuss the design of the deck, or it's not in this council's purview this evening to do that. That's been done and needs no further review by this council, or we will never review this. That's correct. With a question mark. Okay.
That is correct. Design Review Board. This will be on the Design Review Board docket in November. They've already submitted it to Summit County.
Okay, I just wanted to make that clear. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Gorbach. Are there any other questions or comments from council? Any questions from the public, or did we receive any comments from the public? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to bring out temporary ordinance A65 for a vote next week.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Next, we have temporary resolution A66 presented by the administration. A resolution expressing support for and urging passage of issue 36, the Cuyahoga Falls City School District levy at the general election to be held on November 3rd, 2020, and declaring an emergency. I believe we have Dr. Nichols with us here this evening. So Dr. Nichols, I'll turn it over to you. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much, Walter. First thing I have to say is listening to all of you, we are so blessed in Cuyahoga Falls. I mean, all of you and all of the city workers, everyone, I mean, it's just, honestly, take a step back and just listen to everything that has been said tonight. And we are just amazingly blessed. So, a strong community is in part based. Hi, Tom.
I wasn't, sorry, I had an itch.
Yeah, I apologize for my t-shirt, right? I had an opportunity to get home at like 6 o'clock tonight. Thank God. But we're really blessed. Woodridge and Cuyahoga Falls City School District are really blessed to have the city with us. That being said, without belaboring that too much, issue 36 is a 7.9 mil renewal. Currently collecting at a rate of 7.25 mils. And it generates about $5.7 million, a little over $5.7 million for Cuyahoga Falls City School District. And that's about 10% of our general fund operating levy. And, obviously I don't have to say that would be, it would be devastating if we were to not be successful. So I appreciate your resolution of support and so on and so forth. The one thing that I would like to add, though, and needs to be very strongly stated to our community, is that in 2013, law changed. And so this was originally passed in 2005. renewed in 2009 and 2014. If it were to fail, that would necessitate the district come back with additional money. And if the district came back with additional money at this point in time, number one, I don't know when we would do that. And number two, the 12.5% homestead exemption that is currently picked up by the state no longer exists. So not only would it cause the taxpayers to renew, but it would also cost them 12.5% additional, based on the homestead exemption law that changed in 2013. So I can't emphasize enough how crucial this. It's our second largest levy that we have in the district. We have a 9.97 mil levy, and then we have a 7.9 mil levy. And I can't emphasize enough how crucial it is. Over my 10 years here, we've gone from like 5% cash carryover to 18% cash carryover, which gives us the flexibility to handle this whole COVID situation. In the whole COVID situation, to keep class sizes down and to keep social distancing alive, I've had to hire 5 additional staff members. I'm going to hire 3 or 4 additional staff members. In the midst of $950,000 last year and $950,000 this year. Some may say that's offset by the CARES Act, but the CARES Act is so specific that it is not going to help me with staffing. It's not going to help me with keeping class sizes down and keeping kids social. And it's not about kids. You know, often I hear that, you know, kids don't get this, or they're asymptomatic, or this or that. But I have 650 employees. And a lot of those employees, bus drivers, custodians, cleaners, teachers, are my age. I mean, I'm an old man at this point. I'm 55, or soon to be 55. And we are in that range. Now, I got to keep them safe as well. So it's not just about what the kids bring to school. And every week we have conversations with Summit County Public Health. And what's really happening in schools right now is the kids are coming in as asymptomatic. They don't even know they have it. And they're coming into classrooms, they're coming into buildings, and then it's spread. So, I don't know. It's just a very, very weird time. I know you haven't heard me really speak like this before, but I need to tell you, it is more important now than ever that we work together as a community, not only for this whole COVID thing, but also for diversity. I mean, part of what maybe we don't understand is when I got here 10 years ago, our district was 93% Caucasian. We are 78% Caucasian now. And so we really, really have to be cognizant of how we're changing. And losing funds right now would be absolutely devastating to all of us. Unfortunately, budget cuts have caused us to not move forward with the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission. We're pushing like crazy, but I mean that's the world we're living in right now. And I'd love to talk to anybody anytime about the totality of what we're dealing with. It is absolutely ridiculous right now. So I appreciate the resolution. It is, I mean, we've done this before, but it is more important now than it ever has been. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nichols. Appreciate you being here. And that information about the homestead exemption is very important, and I appreciate you sharing that. And also, I think we all know that COVID has had such a made things so much more difficult at every level. But I definitely feel that schools and people with children and childcare have got to be really bearing the brunt of a lot of these challenges. So I know I look very much forward to supporting the levy and wish you the best. I'm happy to help in any way I can. Are there any other questions from the Public Affairs Committee or comments? Any questions or comments from council? Mr. Gorbach.
Thank you, Chairman Balthus. I guess I'd just like to say I'm going to vote in favor of this resolution on behalf of council, but personally, I've been a supporter of the schools and the levies of both Cuyahoga Falls and Woodridge, personally and professionally through my business. And I'm not trying to toot my horn, but what I'm saying is I agree, and we know how important it is as a business and personally for us to support the schools. We've talked a lot about a strong city is only as strong as its schools are, and with the kids we're bringing up and educating, it's important, and it's always been important. And as was discussed tonight, it's extremely important for a lot of reasons this year. So I'm in strong support for this and the resolution coming up with Woodridge. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Gorbach. Are there any other comments or questions from anyone else on council? Anyone from the public? And I assume did we receive any comments or anything from the public on this one? All right, hearing none, I will entertain a motion to bring out temporary resolution A66 for a vote next week.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you again, Dr. Nichols, for your time.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, next we have temporary resolution A67, a resolution expressing support for and urging passage of issue 43, the Woodridge Local School District levy at the general election to be held on November 3rd, 2020, and declaring an emergency. We did receive a substitute for this ordinance. The only change that was made is in the whereas clauses. We referred to there being 4 public schools within the city of Cuyahoga Falls and the village of Peninsula. As a result of their last levy and their new construction project in Cuyahoga Falls, there are now, I believe, 3 public schools, and they are all in the city of Cuyahoga Falls, which we are very grateful for. So if there's no more questions on just that minor change, I'll entertain a motion to amend temporary ordinance A67 with temporary ordinance A67 substitute dated October 5th, 2020.
So moved.
I believe it needs to be someone from the committee.
So moved.
Yep, and a second? Sorry.
Second.
All in favor, so say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Very good. So now we'll discuss temporary resolution A67 substitute dated October 5th, 2020. We're very happy to have Mr. Morehouse here with us from the Woodridge School District. So I'll turn it over to you, sir.
Well, thank you, Councilman. First off, I appreciate everyone being able to hear me tonight and allowing me to speak to you and for considering this resolution. It is a great honor to attend your meeting virtually. After going through 30 years of board meetings, I enjoy seeing other types of public entities and how they meet and how they do business. So it's actually a good learning experience for me, so I do enjoy it. But I also want to go upon what Dr. Nichols said and appreciate all what you do for us. What you do for our children is outstanding, and it is really greatly appreciated. As far as the issue that we have on the ballot this year, it is a renewal. It is a 2.09 mil levy. It brings in a little over $1 million to us. We are looking at a 10-year renewal. It costs the homeowner of a $100,000 home $64. It is our smallest levy that we have out there. I also am reminding people that At the end of 2019, we had a bond issue that came off the ballot. That bond issue was passed back in 1994 to build our middle school. At the end of 2019, that came off the ballot. So as of 2020, our taxpayers are actually paying less tax dollars now. It's roughly the same amount that came off that we're asking for renewal on this. The other thing that we did over this summer was we refinanced some of our construction bonds that we used to build the new middle or the elementary school. And when we were able to do that, while the interest rates were extremely low, the problem was because everything was going through a pandemic. When Moody's was out there, anyone who was looking to refinance or sell bonds, they were getting a negative outlook. We were able to convince them to give us or take that negative outlook off there. And two of the biggest reasons were because of the financial reporting that our school district's been able to maintain over the number of years and the awards we've received from the Auditor State's Office. And quite frankly, they told us the other big reason was the support that we do get from our community. We know that we rely heavily on our taxpayers, as Woodridge is one of the lowest funded schools, one of the lowest 20 school districts in the state of Ohio. And we are reliant on this. And so this levy is very important to us. And what I also tell people is that $1 million in savings that we're able to get by refinancing, this wasn't savings that our school district is receiving. It's not money that we have in the bank. This is money that actually our taxpayers are going to be saving over the next 30 years because they're going to have to pay less interest payments, and therefore they're paying less taxes on this bond issue that we used to build the elementary school. You know, and as a public entity, you're aware that, you know, obviously everyone has to balance a budget. And if we don't pass this, everyone say, well, what's going to happen? So as I've said, we have to balance a budget. And if this doesn't pass, we're looking probably good 10 to 15 employees that, you know, we're going to have to find something to do with because we're not going to be able to maintain, and it could be 10 to 15 jobs. That's not something we want to do. Our constituents have been adamant about, they love how we have small class sizes, and we've been able to maintain that. One of the key things for us has been our brand new elementary building. It was wonderful foresight when it was designed. The rooms are big enough to keep small, not only small class sizes, but during this whole pandemic, for those students that want to attend every day, Monday through Friday, we've been able to do that and still keep social distancing of 6 feet. I can't say that about our older buildings. We're doing every other day. We're doing the hybrid model there to keep the social distancing. But our elementary school, to keep our small class sizes, we're still able to do that and keep a social distancing of 6 feet of all of our grade levels, preschool through grades 5. So with that, I thank you for even considering this, and just wondering if you have any questions for me.
Thank you, Mr. Morehouse. Really appreciate your time here. And like I said on the previous resolution, really think it's important to support our schools, and they're just such an important part of our community. And thank you for the work that you guys have done to save the taxpayers some money. I think that's a great point because, you know, the way a bond issuance works, by reducing those costs, it just reduces the amount that people literally have to pay on their tax bill every, you know, twice a year or within their mortgage. So
that is correct.
That's it's always great to see and to recognize when people in public service are doing a great job to help save us all money. It's greatly appreciated.
And we appreciate their support, and we're trying to support our community back as well as much as possible. And we're not going to stop now. We're continuing to look at this, and we're hopefully within the next 6 months to a year, we're going to be able to refinance some more.
Great, great. Are there any questions or comments from the Public Affairs Committee? Hearing none, are there any questions or comments from council? Mr. Gorbach.
Yeah, I was going to say the exact same thing you said, Russ, but I think it bears repeating. I think it's so important to have heard and for the public to hear, and especially since this is on, will be on YouTube or, you know, be able to be viewed however many times, that you worked hard to refinance that, and you tried to do it, and you were either told no, or you knew it was going to be difficult because of what's going on and with the negative outlook that you were being given, and work through that challenge and continue to do it for savings for the community. And it's really, as Russ had mentioned, really important for the public and the taxpayers to know that. And, I'll say the same. I thank you for doing that.
Absolutely. Thank you. And we've tried to get out there. We've issued press releases, but for some reason that hasn't hit the papers yet.
Are there any other questions or comments from council? Any questions or comments from the public, or did we receive any public comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to bring out temporary resolution A67 substitute dated October 5th, 2020 for a vote next week.
So moved.
Second.
Given a motion and a second, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Musto.
everyone. I appreciate it very, very much.
Yep, have a great evening.
Thanks. You as well.
Thank you. Next, we have temporary resolution A68 presented by the administration, a resolution expressing support for issue 45, an operating tax renewal for the renewal levy for the benefit of the Cuyahoga Falls Library and declaring an emergency. And I believe, Mr. Mayor, you're going to discuss this ordinance or this resolution this evening.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll squeeze into the picture here. Yes, issue 45, excuse me, is the renewal of the 1.9 mil library levy. This funding actually accounts for almost half of their operating budget. And I guess I'll talk to the microphone. You don't have to see me. So anyhow, the library, as you know, does an amazing job in Cuyahoga Falls. This encompasses most of the city. Not all of the city is in their district. But a lot of the things that you may not know that they've added in recent years with the makerspace, if you have not seen that, it's pretty amazing. But that you can digitize any of your VHS tapes onto CD. They have a die cutter, 3D printer. You can print things with their 3D machine. You can make buttons, banners. They do have a print shop, so remotely you can send things, get it printed there at cost. So they do a great thing for the community. They're expanding their hours. I know with COVID being closed for a part of the time, and now they're opening back up cautiously with the distancing and sanitizing. But this is just very important for this renewal. It's a 5-year levy, and it is issue 45 for Cuyahoga Falls Library. I'll try and answer any questions. I have some more notes.
Thank you, Mayor. I really appreciate the presentation. I think the library is such an important part of our community and provides so many services. I'm very happy to support this resolution and to support the levy. Are there any questions or comments from the Public Affairs Committee?
I'm very happy to support this as well.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from council as a whole? Mr. Ayula.
Yeah, I'd like to be just like the mayor and really push this levy. That I know it's a renewal, but the library's done so much for so many of us. I mean, almost all of us, went to school in this city, and some of us are even old enough to remember when the thing was at the old building way back on the other side of 2nd Street. And my class, we've had meetings in there, and they never charge you for having any meetings you can set up, and it's just been really great. And then when they even have their book sale, I love their book sale because I buy a lot of yearbooks when I go there every year. So I'm just very big into promoting it, and the people that are helping out, I think it's great.
Thank you, Councilman Ayula. I agree completely. Any other questions or comments from council? Councilman Gorbach.
I will just say, I remember when everyone thought the libraries were going to decrease, the visitations were going to decrease. We're able to look encyclopedias up on the internet. We can look it up on our phone, and a lot of people do that all day long. But during this time over the years when everyone thought, well, this is going to be the end of public libraries, their visitation increased. They evolved. They use some of the same technology that those that may not have the opportunity at home to have can use it at the library. And beyond that, they've just increased their visitations, which is amazing. And it's a testament to how important, as Mr. Ayula said, and the mayor, it is to the community and the residents thereof. So it's an easy yes, I guess I would say.
Thank you, Councilman Gorbach. Are there any other comments or questions from council? Any questions or comments from the public? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to bring out temporary resolution A68 for a vote next week.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries, and we'll vote on that next week. Next, we have temporary resolution A69 presented by the administration. A resolution expressing support for and urging passage of issue 47, Akron Zoo tax levy at the general election to be held on November 3rd, 2020, and declaring an emergency. And I believe, Mr. Mayor, you're going to take this one as well.
Sure, I will jump in. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Issue 47 is the zoo levy. It's actually a combination. It's 0.8 mil renewal, which that goes back 20 years since they've asked for an increase. And also there is a 0.4% increase for a total of 1.2 mils. A couple of little tidbits with the zoo, 362,000 visitors a year. This actually helps subsidize that to make it affordable for people. Also, it's of note that they have not had any tax increase in 20 years. So they're asking for a small amount more. They are adding exhibits. There's a whole lot in the works. And certainly to operate in this environment is a little more difficult, as we all know. So they're taking precautions as well, keep people safe and distance. So that is issue 47, the zoo levy, and I urge everyone to support that as well.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate the very thorough and good presentation. I will say, though, it's difficult for you to compete when the zoo actually comes and brings animals. That's always a lot more entertaining, but you did great. Are there any, and I think the zoo is an amazing asset for our community. And I know they, the last time they were here, they talked about how they have Cuyahoga Falls days when residents can get free passes or discounted passes to visit the zoo. And I think that's something important to keep in mind as well. I know I tend to go there every year when my nieces visit. My new nephew hasn't been here yet, but when they visit from out of state, we always try to stop by the zoo, and it's a great experience. So definitely very supportive. Are there any questions or comments from the Public Affairs Committee? All right. Are there any questions or comments from council as a whole? Councilwoman Mary Nichols Rhodes.
Thank you, Chairman Baltus. I also was going to mention about the community days, which is awesome that families can go every year from Cuyahoga Falls for free. And also, I just want to comment that the zoo is a model of sustainability. They have all kinds of process in place to leave a smaller carbon footprint than otherwise if they weren't purposely doing a lot of those things. So I just wanted to make mention of that. Thank you, Mr. Baltus.
Thank you. I think that's a really great and important point. Any other questions or comments from council? Any questions or comments from the public? Or did we receive any comments? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to bring out temporary resolution A69 for a vote next week.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Resolution carries 3-0. So that'll be voted on next week. And if there's no further business before the Public Affairs Committee, I don't believe there's any other comments, then I will adjourn the Public Affairs Committee. Thank you. Everybody have a good night.
Thanks, you too.
Thanks.